This is a story of a babysitter who worked for a family taking care of their baby. They appeared as a normal family and a normal baby, but that wasn't so. This is the story of a young girl who is no longer among us, unfortunately. She's dead. But she won her fight, too. It was her first day of work. She was standing in a cozy living room next to the baby in yellow. It was raining outside, and she was excited. She was young, but she knew how to deal with children. She'd had one too, a while ago. A sense of sadness invaded her, and then fear took over. Those eyes, she thought. She didn't remember seeing eyes so scary in all her life, so unreal. She didn't even remember who the parents were. They had more or less explained what she needed to do, and she knew the house, but she had the feeling that she didn't know it well, as if there was something secret and terrifying hidden between the rooms. She had the feeling of being observed from distant and inhuman eyes. But she had work to do, taking care of the baby, absolutely. She had prepared herself well. The only thing was, she had forgotten her bag where she kept her pills. No big deal, she thought. Those pills just helped her stay focused, her doctor said, nothing more. She approached the baby and stroked him a little. After that, she went to the kitchen, removed the bottle of milk from the fridge, and gave it to the baby. She placed him on the changing mat to clean him. She aimed to take the diaper, but when she turned around, the baby had disappeared. To her surprise, he had moved into the living room, and there he was, looking at her with a sad expression. Was she really so careless? Sometimes she forgot things, but as it happened to anyone, maybe she was just tired. Holding him, the sitter said, "It's time for bed." Suddenly, she heard a voice, almost as if she'd imagined it. A neutral voice saying, "Is that what you think?" Forbidden, she took the baby to his room, and while she was laying him in the cradle, she was sure she heard the voice. However, she didn't give it any importance. She was probably tired. She remembered the parents wanted her to read him a story before bedtime, but then the sitter noticed that above the wardrobe, there were 3 puppets: a cat, a rabbit, and a sheep. What made her shudder, though, were their expressions, sad and suffering. She came up to read the story. The title was The Prince and the Cat. Funny, she thought. Strange coincidence. She read the story.
Across the shore, in distant lands, with dark stars overhead, the prince was fast asleep until a cat jumped on his bed.
"I found a secret garden,"
said the cat with much delight. Excitedly, they ran outside, explorers in the night. They walked through the golden garden gate.
"Look at the pretty trees."
They walked along the pretty pebble path.
"Look at the colourful flowers."
They walked past the fabulous flowing fountain.
"Look at the dancing water. Look, look, look."
But the prince didn't like the garden and started kicking down the trees. He dug up flowers, grabbed the hedges, and pulled off all the leaves. He ruined everything for fun. The cat watched on in fear.
"What a mistake I made,"
the cat cried out.
"I should never have brought him here."
That was strange, honestly. The baby was sleeping. She closed the door and went to the living room where she fell asleep on the sofa, watching nothing on TV. Then the baby cried, and the sitter woke up. She went to the baby's room and found the cradle empty. The baby wasn't there, but she could hear him crying. So she went downstairs and found him sitting on the living room floor. She was afraid there was someone in the house. Paranoia began. She looked all over the house and outside in the corridor. There was no one, and the silence was grave. She went inside, closed the door, and put the baby to bed with the cat plush. Then she fell asleep on the sofa again, and she dreamed. She dreamed about going into a secret room in the attic with a key in the same house. There were strange pictures and drawings on the walls, and then she saw a cat. The sitter woke up, and the baby was right in front of her, staring at her. How did he get there all on his own? She headed into the kitchen. The drawings on the fridge were inexplicably changed from the night before. It had been a day? The sitter realized that she had lost track of time. She tried to get the bottle, but the door of the fridge was closed. And she opened it again. The bottle wasn't there. She was sure that she had put it in there. She found it in a cupboard. So she went into the living room and, horrified, stopped in front of a picture. Inside the picture was a covered face, screaming as if it were death. What was going on? She almost had a panic attack. It didn't happen to her often, and maybe it was because she had forgotten her pills. Maybe they would have helped her. Breathing deeply, she took the baby to the bathroom, and things just got worse. The diaper inexplicably began to run away from the sitter, escaping to the living room, to the kitchen, to the baby's room, and finally to the parents' room, a forbidden room where she wasn't allowed. The diaper was right inside, so she entered. She noticed that it was midnight and wondered why the time passed so slowly in that cursed house. Yes, it was so. She was in a cursed house. She had to be careful. She also noticed names near the desk, other babysitters. It said they needed a sitter for day 3. So it was. She looked at the calendar. Day 3. The same day. It hadn't been 2 nights as she believed, and she saw other names scattered. Probably the parents, but she didn't remember. She became paranoid and began to suspect some kind of plot. She exited the room and found a tape recorder in a closet. She listened to it, and it sounded like a joke. Murdered by the baby. In yellow? Frightened, she cleaned the baby and picked him up, but he vanished in her arms, and she found him sitting in the living room with red eyes. A shiver ran down her back. She took courage. She heard the same neutral voice she had heard before, laughing. Look, isn't it funny? The sitter said to the baby, I told you not to do that. Ignoring that disturbing, haunting voice, she took the baby to his room and read him a story. Now, on the bedside table, there was another book called The Prince and the Rabbit, just like the puppets.
When the rabbit came to visit, the prince said time to play. But his big red eyes, they scared her, and she didn't want to stay. Quickly towards the exit, the tiny rabbit hopped. The prince ran right behind her and screamed she must be stopped. Through dark corridors he chased her. Hop, hop, hop. A relentless, futile flight. Hop, hop, hop. Round and round inside the palace, in and out of space and sight. Hop, hop, hop. The prince, he couldn't catch her. His heart was filled with wrath. The rabbit slipped right out the door and vanished down the path. The prince cried out, "I need new friends. More, now, another." "I'll bring you some, don't worry now," replied his loving, caring mother.
She understood. She was the rabbit, and the baby was the evil prince. She closed the door and went down towards the TV. Suddenly, someone rang the doorbell. She turned, and the rabbit was there. The puppet from the baby's room was facing the door. The bell kept ringing, and she waited, scared and staring at the puppet. Finally, she opened the door and found a cooking plate. She went into the corridor. No one was there, and the elevator was out of service. Where did they come from? She smelled something bad out there. She took the package inside. She was afraid to see the baby. She fell asleep on the sofa, hoping the parents of that monster would return as soon as possible. She woke up. The child was crying. After calming him, she really needed to eat something. She went to the kitchen and prepared some toast. On the fridge, the drawings were again changed. That monster was driving her crazy. He was the devil. All of a sudden, the plate exploded, and immediately a sign of fire saying, "Feed me," appeared on the walls. There was a strong, burning smell, and there were no more doubts. That baby was a supernatural being. He was hungry, or it was hungry. She thought, "I have to feed him. Hurry." She opened the fridge, but the food was gone. Inside was a long corridor, and the bottle was all the way at the end. The sitter entered the fridge, aware that she was in another dimension. Now, she could only try to remain calm and fight that monster. She took the bottle. Now, she could only try to remain calm and fight that monster. There was a labyrinth. She walked it until she found a door. She opened it to find the corridor just in front of the baby's house. She entered and saw him in the living room, angry in his high chair. She was very afraid. At some point, the child turned into some kind of evil angel, or a divinity, or Lucifer. No, she was very sure it was a creature worse than the devil. The baby got up slightly with red eyes. The sitter saw tentacles sprouting from all sides. She didn't understand what was real and what wasn't. She took the baby and put him to bed. The tentacles were also in the room, and they entered through the window. She read the last story that damned being wanted to hear, The Prince and the Sheep, the last of the 3 stories.
It was cold throughout the palace. The moon shone bright outside. The wind, it blew and blew. Oh no! The curtains flew open wide. The little prince was in his bed and couldn't get to sleep. So he called out for his mother, "Please go and find my sheep." "I'm thirsty," said the prince. So the sheep fetched a drink. "I'm dirty," said the prince. So the sheep changed his clothes. "I'm tired," said the prince. "Let me count you. 1, 2, 3. "Just one more thing," said the prince, "before I drift to sleep." He opened up his big red eyes and turned to face the sheep. "Come join me in my dreams. Stay forever in my head." Obediently, the sheep stepped forth, its mind consumed by dread.